Okay, so this is quiz 1, problem 3, and it was actually the same problem on both quizzes. So, what we're looking for here, we want to find the following limit if it exists, and I want to use this graph. So limit as x approaches 0 of f of x. So I'm going to assume this function here is f of x. So I want to look at what's happening around x is 0. Well, when x is 0, so here I'm looking somewhere along the y-axis. This is where x is 0. I've got two things happening. I've got this here. This is a closed point. Right? So that means that f of 0 is this. And if I count, it's kind of faded on here, but 1, 2, I know f of 0 is 2. That's not a limit value. That's just when I plug in 0, I'm going to get 2 because I've got a closed point here. Now if I look down at negative 1, 2, 3, there's a closed point. So f of 0 is not that because it's or did I say closed? An open point. So when I look at this point, f of 0 is not this because it's an open circle. Alright? So I want to find the limit if it exists. Well, if I'm looking from the left, to find the limit I have to look two ways. I have to look from the left. So limit as x approaches 0 from the left of f of x. Now I want to find the limit from the right. Okay. So I look from the left first. So I'm just going to trace along from the left. Where is it going to? Well, it's going to come up here to 2. Alright. Just follow this along from the left. Well, this is where it stops. Alright. I'm going to come in from the right. So now I'm going to start, here's 0, I'm going to be to the right of 0, I'm going to follow this along, and this is where it stops. So I never actually achieve this value, it never actually reaches, this is negative 3, but as I get really, really close, well, from the right is going to be approaching negative 3. So 2 and negative 3 are two different numbers. Well, limit as x approaches 0 from the left, and the limit as f approaches of f of x as x approaches 0 from the right. So limit from the left, limit from the right. Oops, excuse me. These are not equal. This tells me limit does not exist. Okay. Now, one could get this just by looking at the graph and notice that if I just look to the left and look to the right, well, I've got lines coming into two different points. Basically, if you've got two different circles with lines connected to them from each side, well, that's not, the limit doesn't exist. And furthermore, it's not continuous at this point, but the problem didn't ask that. But if the problem asked it, this is also discontinuous because the limit does not exist.